Hello everyone and welcome back to Very Cold Lasagna, your filthy casual place for all the filthy casual takes on the world of sports. I am DylanLasagna and welcome back to another round of my weekly preview and picks for the 2022 NFL season. And can you believe it? We're already to week 13 and yeah, the 13th week. It's like these weeks and games are like flying by very quick, just like they do every single year. And just as soon as you know it, we'll be at the playoffs next month. Like, holy crap. But anyway, we have another week to talk about. It is week 13, and it begins the most important time of the year. As you know, as they say in those Christmas songs, it's the most wonderful time of the year. And, I don't want to say too much because, I'll get copyrighted, especially for all you YouTube watchers. So anyway, it's winter football, the most important time of the year for the NFL because, the playoffs, seedings, you know who's going to be the contenders and pretenders by this point. And this week is the beginning of it as we get closer to those playoffs. So with that being said, let's take a look at the week that is to come in week 13. So we have two teams on bye this week, and that is the Arizona Cardinals and the Carolina Panthers. So we started things off on Thursday Night Football only on Amazon Prime Video for $15 a month. And yeah, this is another reminder that Amazon is paying the big bucks for the shit games. And not to say that Josh Allen and the Bills are a shit team, but my God. The Bills running game, they did have a good outing, but it was mostly ball control. Let's keep the ball away from the New England Patriots for most of the game. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with like a ball control game, but it's just, it doesn't help when the announcers make it like so goddamn boring, like they're calling like golf or anything. But anyway, Josh Allen and the offense played ball control, kept the ball away from Mac Jones in the offense, and yeah, they scored touchdowns on all three tries doing so, as the Bills pulled away from a Patriots team that was just so out of sync on offense that even Mac Jones was getting so infuriated with how stupid their own offense was becoming. And not to say that Mac Jones was having his own problems, but yikes. The Patriots having serious issues on offense as the Bills beat New England 24-10 as they get their first division win in December. So there you go. Bills gaining an important win heading into the first of three division games in the first 3 weeks of December. Going to the Sunday slate of games as we get into our actual picks for week 13. Starting with the early morning portion on Sunday. The Pittsburgh Steelers travel to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Pittsburgh's at 4-7. The Falcons are at 5-7. For Kenny Pickett, the Steelers not really going anywhere. They're not making the playoffs. But you never know. Anything can happen with the last wild card spot. But the Steelers, well, they're not a playoff team, but still an opportunity for Kenny Pickett to show continued flashes against a weak Falcons team. Especially against a weak Falcons defense. Speaking of Atlanta, man, those flaws are really starting to catch up on both sides of the ball, especially Marcus Mariota and their defense, as I mentioned earlier. And they're still trying to actually catch up to the Bucs in the NFC South race. And, the Bucs are not really helping themselves by losing these winnable games. So Atlanta's still technically in the race, as are Carolina and New Orleans. So if Atlanta wants to win this game, they better actually start finding a way to glue up those flaws. But I don't think they will here against a decent Steelers team. So give me Pittsburgh in this one. The Denver Broncos at 3-8 travel to Baltimore to take on the 7-4 Ravens. And at this point, I don't really have much else to say about Denver because they suck so bad. At some point, they will get eliminated from playoff contention. So the focus here should be on, trying to get in sync with however many games left that Nathaniel Hackett will have as a head coach. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about Denver. Meanwhile, for the Baltimore Ravens, with each and every passing game that they choke, it's becoming harder to trust them as a playoff contender. And the latest example being blowing another late lead against the Jaguars. And if somehow, some way they blow this game against Denver, I can't really trust them at all. So Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have to bounce back. They got to have a really good performance against a crippled Broncos team. If they can't, I'll be really surprised. So give me the Ravens in this one. The 4-8 Green Bay Packers take on the 3-9 Chicago Bears. Aaron Rodgers, for whatever reason, is still expected to start despite the Packers being a long shot of making the playoffs. Like I said in my hurry up discussion on the last recap video, it should be all in on Jordan Love. Like the Packers are not a playoff team. They shouldn't even be focused on the playoffs. Sure, they have a winnable schedule going forward, but playoffs should not be in their sight. The future should be now. They should be transitioning towards Jordan Love. He should be the starter. They have to see what they have in him, but clearly they still want to give Aaron Rodgers one more go at it before the bye week. I don't know. Meanwhile, for the Bears, they're officially a loss and a Seahawks win away from being officially eliminated from playoff contention, but whatever that means for Bears football, yeah, the Packers are going to win this game, and the Seahawks, spoiler alert, they're going to win their game against the Rams. So the Bears can finally focus towards 2023, and the Bears fans will have to suffer through a couple more weeks of Bears football and until they can look forward to next season. So the Packers are going to win this game maybe easily, maybe not so easily, but I don't know. Anything can happen. Meanwhile, the all-elite Jacksonville Jaguars at 4-7 take on the 4-7 Detroit Lions. This is actually it could be a closer matchup than most people expect because, Trevor Lawrence, he's continuing to aim for his nicer progression against a rising Lions defense led by Aiden Hutchinson, their number 2 overall pick, who is a contender for defensive rookie of the year. And they played harder. They played very hard against the Buffalo Bills last time we saw them. But the only thing about the Lions is that at times Jared Goff holds them back from rising up to their true potential. So either way, this should be a much closer game than people expect, and I think that the Jaguars might claw back. They might claw away from this game in a very close one. So give me the Jags in a win in this one. The Cleveland Browns at 4-7 take on the 9-1 Houston Texans in the big Deshaun Watson game. The game that people have been waiting for so badly. I wonder why. Even despite the record the Texans have, this is not a late afternoon game. Not even in the prime time afternoon game slot. Because this is the big publicity game for the skid marks right here and for the Texans. The one game the Texans really want to have so badly, despite how down they are, because revenge is on their mind, despite how ailing they are, and the skid marks. They're hoping that despite all the rust that Deshaun Watson has, he's hoping that he can shake it off and have chemistry early with this offense against his old team. So while some people are hoping that the skid marks will win this game, and I'm picking the skid marks to win. Don't be surprised if the Texans can somehow hold this off. So we will see what happens in this big game between the skid marks and the Texans in the Deshaun Watson game. The New York Jets at 7-4 take on the 9-2 Minnesota Vikings. The Jets got a blowout win against the Bears, whatever that accounts for, with Mike White making his first start in a long while, replacing Zach Wilson. And he did pretty well. I mean, again, it was the Bears, but now he faces a tougher task in Kirk Cousins in the Vikings and Patrick Peterson in that defense. So, but still, they're going to look to keep it rolling with Mike White under center. Meanwhile, for the Vikings, they have an opportunity to wrap up the NFC North as long as they take care of business at home against a rising Jets team, and if Jacksonville can take down the Lions. So I might go with the Vikings in this one. The 7-5 Washington Commanders take on the 7-4 New York Giants. Big NFC East matchup as Washington looks to climb up the playoff standings. Taylor Heinicke still playing pretty solid, and their defensive line holding up, doing pretty dang good. Meanwhile, the Giants' playoff chances not so well. With every loss that they've been getting, they lost a pretty good amount, and may lose even more with an upcoming brutal December. Most of their games this month is against the NFC East. So after this game against Washington, it's a home game against Philadelphia, and then they have to play Washington again, and then you have to play Minnesota, and then your season finale is against Philadelphia. Yikes! So give me Washington in this one, and then the AJ Brown game. Man, there's a lot of interesting revenge games this week. That's as the Tennessee Titans at 7-4 take on the 10-1 Philadelphia Eagles, as the Titans are looking to bounce back from a mistake-filled effort against Cincinnati, while AJ Brown of the Eagles, revenge is on his mind as he faces his old team that traded him during the NFL draft for Treylon Burks. So give me the Eagles in this game. Going to the late afternoon slate of games, the Seattle Seahawks at 6-5 take on the broken 3-8 LA Rams, as Seattle aims to snap a 2-game losing streak. And, well, the Rams at this point, injury mania running wild, as Aaron Donald is the latest victim as he's out with a sprained ankle, and Matthew Stafford still out with the neck injury. So give me the Seahawks in this one. The Miami Dolphins at 8-3 take on my San Francisco 49ers at 7-4. This is a big matchup for not just my 49ers, but the Dolphins as well, as now they know that now that the Bills have won this game, they have to win this game against the 49ers. But either way, this has been a very interesting matchup because these teams have been trash talking. Mainly Miami's been trash talking San Francisco, especially Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, Tyreek Hill, and both teams have been hit by the injury bug the past the past week. Mainly Miami's offensive line, and the Niners with Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell. But the Niners are getting back Eric Armstead, so that's always good to know. So it's going to be an interesting game. How's the Niners defense going to be able to contain Miami's electric offense with Tua, Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, Gesicki? It's going to be a big challenge between Mike McDaniel going up against DeMeco Ryans and Kyle Shanahan against Miami's defense. So it's going to be, it's going to be a big challenge for my 49ers, and I hate to go against them. So, yeah, I'm going to give a very close edge to the Dolphins in this one. The Kansas City Chiefs at 9-2 take on the 7-4 Cincinnati Bengals. The Chiefs, despite winning against the Rams, they found a way to win, but they were hoping to get a better performance from their offense after they were stopped in the red zone many times against the Rams in that game in Week 12. Meanwhile, for the Bengals, they're hoping to build off their gutsy win against Tennessee, and better yet, they're getting Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon back this week, and that should energize their offense even more. Will it be enough against the Chiefs? We shall see, but I'm going to give a slight edge to the Chiefs, and as they win back this revenge game from their AFC Championship matchup back in January. The LA Chargers at 6-5 take on the 4-7 Las Vegas Raiders. The Chargers, I don't know if you could say big win against the Cardinals because the Cardinals suck, but man, they are really living and dying by the last minute clutch on offense. It's paying off sometimes, but it's not paying off all the time. But it did pay off last week against Arizona, so maybe that's their identity. They found that identity by living by the clutch. I guess you could also say the same by the Raiders, per se now, because Josh McDaniels may have saved himself a little by going with Josh Jacobs, focusing on zoning in on him a little bit on the offense. And Derek Carr has also played some decent football in the clutch as well. So this is a big matchup for both teams to keep their very slim playoff hopes alive. So I'm going to give the edge to the Chargers in this one. Then the Sunday Night Football matchup that nobody asked for except for Dallas lovers and big media market lovers. The Indianapolis Colts at 4-7-1 take on the Dallas Cowboys at 8-3. Jeff Saturday facing a big test in his audition to be a head coach, as he's hoping for an improbable upset and hoping to learn something from bad clock management on Monday night, while Dak Prescott in the offense is looking to continue the red-hot success from that Thanksgiving game against the New York Giants. So give me the Dallas Cowboys easily in this game against Indianapolis, unless they somehow find a way to choke this one up. And then in the Monday Night Football game to close out Week 13, the New Orleans Saints at 4-8 travel to Tampa Bay to take on the struggling 5-6 Bucks. So even though the Saints have been struggling with injuries and Dennis Allen being their head coach, they still have been a kryptonite to Tom Brady since he joined the Bucks. And they look to continue to be that kryptonite on Monday night in a primetime game for a Bucks team that's looking to get out of that funk, be that fix up their all-around playmaking decisions, coaching decisions, pretty much everything, as they try to not be a one-and-done playoff team in a very weak AFC South. So they probably will do that, and I'm picking the Bucks to win this game, but the Saints will make this closer than you think it will be. So those are my picks for Week 13 of the 2022 NFL season. A lot of revenge games, a lot of important big matchups this week as we kick off the month of December, the most important time of the football season. Yeah, it's December is basically our NFL mini Christmas. Playoffs will be our Christmas, okay? All right. So anyway, let me know your picks for Week 13 in the comments below. And will you go with me or will you go against me? Or are you pretty neutral about it? Let me know. Let's start a discussion in the comments, okay? Okay. So anyway, this is DylanLasagna of Very Cold Lasagna signing out. And keep that lasagna in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. And until next time, peace out.